I'm Charlotte McLeod with the Investing News Network, and here today with me is Byron King, editor of Rickards Gold Speculator, which is published by Agora Financial. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yes, and we're here at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. It's the second day. You told me you've been having some good conversations. Can you talk a little bit about the mood here?
I find the mood very upbeat, very positive. Nothing like a year or so ago, perhaps. We had a tough year in 2018. We had a little bit of upside in the beginning, then a whole lot of downside towards the much of the end, and then the last December and into January, the price of gold went up and a lot of shares rebounded. I've been talking with companies, mostly the ones that I cover in my newsletter, the Gold Speculator with Jim Rickards. We have been getting really good feedback from the companies. Great management, super people, great assets, terrific assets. These companies have been able to raise money during the tough times. They have a plan, every single one of them. Every company is different, but everybody has a plan, and they're all moving forward and executing crisply. And I'm very pleased with the results that I've seen in companies. Their share price might be down from a year ago in many cases, but they're better companies. They have more ounces in the rock, they have more pounds in the ground, whatever you want to say. These companies have done better over the last year, and I feel good about it. They feel good about it, and investors ought to feel good about it looking forward.
Are there any names you can share with us of those companies?
Well, one company I think that is really leading the pack as an advanced stage developer, and it is a junior. It's not one of these companies that's been helped along by a big guy, one of these big mining companies, the name brands that came in, is Victoria Gold in the Yukon. They have taken this project from an exploration play through early stage development. They tried to do all the conventional means of, we'll find a partner, we'll find a venture, we'll find some money. The Wall Streets and Main Streets of the world were not kind. So management went out, they raised their own money, they're building their own mine. It's one of the largest single construction projects in Canada right now. Even it's 35 below zero up there. And they're welding steel and pouring concrete and laying down polypropylene. They're working hard. And they're going to be stacking ore by July 1st of 2019. They're going to be pouring gold bars by the end of the year. $100 million a year of free cash flow coming out of this company over the next year or two as they ramp up and as they spool it up. That's an example of a junior that has just driven right through that curve, the exploration euphoria, the development doldrums, and now here they are kind of right at the bottom of that trough on the way up to being a producer where they get re-rated, and now everybody wants to own them and take credit for the beautiful baby.
Okay, and they're in the Yukon. Is a jurisdiction that you like?
The Yukon is a great jurisdiction. I cover companies all over the place. I love the Yukon. The Yukon has done very, very well in terms of the political management of the Yukon. It's a big place, almost as big as Alaska. But 40,000 people, something like that. But they have really great governance. They have incredibly good First Nation relations. The First Nations are very, very business-like. There's a very good sense of fairness and honor up there among the people that do the work. It's really a nice place to get your work done. Super geologic heritage there. The one thing that you could say is, well, they need a little more infrastructure, which they do, but that comes with the development. And the Yukon is a very early frontier type of region. It's been prospected for 100 and some years by the guys with their pans and climbing up the creeks and their little canoes. Prospected, yes. Explored, no. This place is wide open, and there are numerous companies working in the Yukon that have really, really started to unlock the science behind the geology, and it's great. It's a great story to tell.
I'm going to take you over to gold right now. We've been talking to a lot of people about last week's Newmont and Goldcorp deal. Can you tell me your thoughts about that? Is it good for the gold industry? Is it good for investors?
Well, this is an example of, a couple of big elephants doing the big elephant dance. We talk about oil companies, they drill for oil on Wall Street. This is mining gold on Wall Street. One company takes over another company, buys into, however you want to characterize it, a merger, an acquisition, or take a wrap up, whatever you want to call it. So far, we're not seeing any, new mines, new mills, no new developments. It's just, it is what it is. Newmont, as the driving partner in this, might take this and go further. But when you look at Goldcorp, people seemed excited that Goldcorp was getting taken over. Well, in this market, in this environment, I suppose it's nice to it's nice to get invited to a party, and this is the party. But if you look at the history of Goldcorp, if you go back 5 years, Goldcorp shares were up here. They were in the $30 range. And then if you look about 2-3 weeks ago, they were in the, they were $10, $11 range. And now there's the takeover, and now they're about $12. Well, if you connect this dot and that dot for 5 years, Goldcorp has really not delivered for the shareholders. If you bought in, 3 weeks ago, then sure, you made some money. But if you've been holding for a while, your company's getting taken over at a discount, partly because it's a bad market, but partly because, Goldcorp has sort of under-delivered on a lot of things over the last, 3, 4, 5 years. Newmont is very great historic name in the mining industry, and we will see what Newmont can do with the Goldcorp assets. We will see how the Goldcorp influence moves into Newmont. Nobody knows. I'm certainly not the one to talk about inside the boardroom what's going to happen, or inside the C-suites. It's up to them. I wish them well. All I can say, Newmont, Goldcorp. The world is your oyster, guys, because everything out there's some really good stuff. It's selling cheap. Gold prices are going up, and it's yours. It's yours to lose. So don't blow it, guys.
What does this deal, and maybe also the Barrick and Randgold deal last year, what does it tell us about the gold market right now? Maybe where we're at in the cycle?
Well, what it tells me is that again, the big elephants have decided to dance.
Sure.
What the junior space is always hoping for, the people in the junior space, they're always hoping that some big guy is going to come down, like in the opera, the Deus Ex Machina is going to come swinging down out of the clouds, and we're going to joint venture, we're going to buy this asset, we're going to take this company over, whatever. We haven't really been seeing that in the junior space, and we need that. The junior space, which is where the exploration and the finding is happening these days. I mean, the big guys are not the finders. They are not the true explorers. They are not really finding ounces, not finding pounds. They're managing money. The big guys are banks. They're banks that are in the mining business. The mines give them the cash flow to do other things, to finance stuff. The explorers are out there, just scrambling for money, raising their cash as they can, diluting their shareholders, unfortunately, in more instances than you want to know about. But they are the ones who are out there, though. They're the ones that are creating the juice. They're putting the ounces on the books, the pounds in the ground. That's where that's happening. The big industry needs the little industry, just like the little industry needs the big industry, and the big industry needs to know that they have to help those small guys out, by going around there and not just kicking the tires forever. At some point, you have to buy something and drive it off the lot.
Okay, other than gold, what are you looking at in terms of commodities in 2019? What are you feeling good about? We talked about copper in the fall. Copper didn't have a very good year. Base metals didn't really. Where are you looking?
Well, looking backwards, I mean, last year I said palladium was doing well and would do well. Palladium is still doing well and is still going to do well. I do think that the strength in palladium is going to drag up platinum. Platinum's been beaten down. We've had this kind of divergence of, palladium did this and platinum kind of did that. I think that, and it's driven by the automotive catalyst industry, basically, that sector of the auto industry. I think platinum's going to kind of start to make a comeback as some of the automakers begin to retool their CAT converters. I think we're seeing some really interesting things in the lead market.
Really?
You say
Okay.
lead? What do you mean? Well, yes, because lead acid batteries are still a very important form of energy storage across the world, and lead has been underinvested. So I could see lead doing a breakout. I think we're going to see some really interesting things in technology metals. I mean, rare earths, for example, have to do better because it's not, as more and more people buy more and more electric cars, and it doesn't have to be that big of a number. I mean, 98% of the cars and trucks in the world are gasoline, diesel engines. Maybe 2% maybe are electric, but that 2%, that's going to grow. And so the rare earths are critical. Not, yes, in batteries, they use a little bit of rare earths in batteries, but really it's in the traction motors that run those cars. And so I think that we're going to see we're going to see some movement in prices in rare earths. That's a 90% China play, but there are a couple of plays outside of it that are investable to Western investors.
Yeah, I was gonna. Lead also, there's very few ways to get in, as far as I know. So people will have to look, I guess.
Yeah, well, people are going to have to read my newsletter is what they're going to have to do. I'm just going to shamelessly give a plug that in the next 2 or 3 weeks in my newsletter we're going to have a very special report on rare earths, and I'm going to walk the talk and all that other kind of stuff when that report comes out. But you heard it from me, and we're going to put it on the table. This is within probably by the early part of February.
Okay, so you do have the answers.
We have some answers for you.
Good. As we're wrapping up, are there any themes that you think investors are not seeing or maybe may miss coming this year? Well,
if you are going to dabble in the junior space, you have to be very patient. This is not the marijuana space. This is not the crypto space. This is a space that's been around for a long time, with its ups and downs and with the cycles. You want to be looking for really good people, really good assets in good jurisdictions, obviously. I mean, but I say obviously, but you'd be amazed how many people forget that, and so don't forget that, keep that in your mind. There are some tremendous companies out there that are immensely undervalued. They were beaten down so badly last year, and the tax loss selling at the end of the year, the market, kicked them while they were down. It's just so unfair. Well, unfair in one context means buying opportunity in another context. And I'm right over there, maybe 50 feet away from where we're sitting right now, Maple Gold was completely smashed last year. They are such a better company. They have such a better model right now than they did a year ago. They're in fabulous shape. Rockhaven Resources in the Yukon was just really beaten up last year for no good reason. I mean, I think people just thought, you didn't drill enough holes. Well, they didn't need to drill any holes. They needed to take the data that they had and put it together into a model. They have a much better model. So I mentioned. Victoria Gold is they're 6 months from stacking ore. They're 9 months from pouring gold, and people treat them so horribly on the share price. It's ridiculous. I mean, this is a company that's going to be pouring a gold bar, within by 10 or 11 months from now, and a year and a half from now, they're going to be on track to $100 million a year free cash flow. They're just lying around waiting for you to pick them up and put them in your portfolio.
Just remember those core investment principles.
Yes, but keep an eye on everything, of course. But good people, good assets, good jurisdiction, and a story that makes sense. And does the model make sense? Yeah, that's what we look for.
Okay, well, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Once again, I'm Charlotte McLeod with the Investing is Network, and this is Byron King.